A human skull, 2 million years ago, with two perfect holes at the top, spaced exactly the same distance as a leopard's fangs. This skull was found in a cave in South Africa, and what it tells us is simple, direct, and absolutely disturbing. Someone carried that ancestor of ours by the head, like a cat carries a mouse. This someone was bigger, faster, stronger, and we were dinner. Welcome to humanity's real past. Not to the glorious past of books, not to the past of the great hunters who dominated the savannah, the past that we prefer to forget, the past in which we were trapped. Let me tell you something that will change the way you see your own species. Every instinct you have, the fear of the dark, the shiver on the back of your neck when you feel like you're being watched, that quickening of your heart when something moves too fast in the corner of your eye, that's not weakness. This is memory. Memory etched into your DNA by millions of years of terror, because for a huge fraction of our history, something out there wanted to kill us, and he often succeeded. Let's start with the predator that probably haunts your nightmares to this day, even if you've never seen one up close. The Smilodon, the famous saber-tooth. But forget the movie image you have in your head. Smilodon wasn't an over-the-top kitten. He was a 300-pound killing machine, pure muscle, shoulders as wide as a door. And those fangs that were 9 inches long, were no good for chewing. They were used to open, to penetrate. To kill with a single bite, you need to hit the throat or the back of the neck. And Smilodons lived until about 10,000 years ago. 10,000 years ago. That's yesterday on a geological scale. This is after modern humans were already spread across the planet. We coexist with this animal. We crossed paths with him in the same territory, and some of us didn't come home, but Smilodon wasn't alone. No. The Pleistocene, this period that runs from 2.5 million years ago to approximately 11,000 years ago, was a place where each biome had its own particular nightmare. In Europe and Asia, there was the cave lion, Panthera leo spelaea, which was about 30% larger than today's largest African lion. Think about it. The largest African lion that exists today is already an animal that can kill an adult human without much effort. Now increase this animal by a third. Place him in a dense forest, in an environment without open fields, where you could at least see where he comes from. Cave paintings found in caves in France and Spain show these lions. Our ancestors designed them. They knew exactly what they were dealing with, and yet they survived. Some of them at least. There is something that deeply fascinates me about this relationship between humans and felines. Researcher Donna Hart and anthropologist Robert Sussman spent years analyzing the fossil record and came to a conclusion that shook paleontology. Early humans were not dominant hunters. They were in fact frequent prey. Their theory, published in the book Man the Hunted, challenges that classic narrative of the brave and invincible primitive man. Fossils tell a different story. Australopithecus bones with big cat teeth marks, Homo habilis bones with evidence that they were consumed by hyenas, skulls broken in a specific way that indicates that the animal attacked from above, like a leopard does when it climbs a tree with its prey to eat in safety, away from other predators. And since I talked about hyenas, I need to talk about Pachycrocuta brevirostris. That name doesn't tell you anything, but when you know what it was, it will record forever. It was a hyena the size of a lion, 180 kilos of jaw and instinct for destruction. Pachycrocuta had a bite capable of crushing an elephant's femur. Think what she would do with a hominid that weighed 50 kilos. Fossils from archaeological sites in Africa and Eurasia show human bones inside Pachycrocuta pits. That is, these animals carried our ancestors to their burrows to eat calmly, like a dog hides a bone. But the bone was us. Now if you're watching this video and haven't left a like yet, do so now, serious. I know it sounds like any channel request, but look, you're in the middle of one of the most disturbing stories humanity has to tell, and I want to keep telling you. Likes help this video reach more people, and it's free for you. Press there and stay here with me because what comes now is even more impressive. Let's talk about something that many people don't immediately associate with prehistoric horror. Birds. Specifically, Haast's eagle, Harpagornis murray. This bird lived in New Zealand and became extinct around 1400 AD. That is, it was contemporary with the first humans to arrive on the island. Haast's eagle had claws larger than those of a modern-day Bengal tiger, and he used those claws with a speed and precision that are difficult to imagine. She hunted the moa, a bird that could weigh up to 250 kilos. But when humans arrived in New Zealand, there was a new item on the menu, and there is evidence. There are marks on human bones found in New Zealand archaeological sites that indicate that this eagle attacked people, especially children. It attacked from above, diving at more than 50 miles per hour, digging in its claws and breaking the bones of the pelvis and chest before the victim understood what was happening. And that, my friend, explains something very interesting in our biology, because here things get fascinating in a way that keeps me up at night. Researchers have discovered that humans have a specific fear response to shadows that move from top to bottom at speed, different from other shadows, different from other movements. That feeling of hunching your neck and lifting your shoulders when something passes quickly above you, this is not learned, it's innate. Babies who have never seen a large bird in their lives react with fear to simulated shadows that descend at speed. We are talking about a fear that was evolutionarily selected because individuals who did not have this reflex were killed before reproducing. You're afraid of things that fly fast because your ancestors who didn't have that fear were caught by something exactly like Haast's eagle. This is evolution leaving scars on behavior. And it's not just in the air that we had enemies. It's not just in the forest, the water. Water has always been a place of existential danger for humans, and the largest aquatic predator that coexisted with our evolutionary lineage was Crocodylus thorbjarnarsoni, an extinct African crocodile that reached 7.5 meters in length and weighed more than a ton. It lived in the same East African lakes and rivers where the first hominids were evolving, and it wasn't a passive animal waiting for prey at the water's edge. Research on modern crocodiles shows that they build mental models of their prey's behavior, learn routines, wait. Imagine that on a scale 7 times larger than a large modern crocodile. While our ancestors went to fetch water, something you need to do every day without exception, this animal was there, waiting, with the patience of someone who is not in a hurry because they always win. More recent cases, and when I say recent I mean just a few centuries ago, show Nile crocodiles in a region of Tanzania that became famous for killing hundreds of people. One specific crocodile, nicknamed Gustave, has been responsible for more than 300 documented deaths in Burundi. 300, a single animal. So when you read about human ancestors living on the banks of African bodies of water, you need to have this image in your head. Every trip to the river was Russian roulette. But here I need to ask you a question, and I want you to really think before you answer. How long do you think if modern humans were thrown into a Pleistocene environment without tools and technology, how long would we survive? No controlled fire, no spears, no traps, no accumulated knowledge that we have today. Just our body and mind against smilodons, cave lions, giant crocodiles, and lion-sized hyenas. Tell me in the comments what you think. Seriously, I read all the comments and this question has no right answer. It's a philosophical, scientific, and in a way, existential question. Comment there. And speaking of survival, let me tell you about the Tsavo Man-Eaters episode, 1898. Kenya. The British were building a railway over the Tsavo River, and 2 mannerless lions began to enter the camps at night and drag away workers to eat. It was not occasional opportunism, it was a systematic hunt. For 9 months, these 2 lions killed and consumed between 35 and 135 people. The numbers vary depending on the source, but even the most conservative number is terrifying. The workers built thorn fences, made noise all night, lit fires. Lions ran through everything. They learned that humans were prey. And this, scientifically, is something that changes everything. When a large predator learns to systematically hunt humans, it doesn't forget. He passes this behavior on to puppies, creates a tradition of predation. And the scariest thing about all of this to me is what the earliest archaeological records suggest about our position in the food chain. For a long time, we assumed that early hominins were hunters who occasionally became prey. But isotopic analysis of Australopithecine bones and teeth, combined with the study of markings on fossil bones, is pointing to something different. For a huge period of our evolutionary history, we were more prey than hunters. We survived not by brute force, but by collective intelligence, by cooperation, by communication. We survive because we learn to be afraid of the right things and to react in a coordinated way. And do you know what that means? It means that human cooperation, our ability to work in groups, to trust strangers, to create societies, this whole thing that makes us human, may have been forged precisely by the pressure of predators. We became social because lonely people died. We developed sophisticated language because we needed to warn each other. We invented fire as a weapon, not just a tool. Fear made us smart. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, now is the time. Look, I don't produce this type of content because it's easy. Each video is weeks of research, of reading scientific papers, of trying to translate real science into a language that holds you from beginning to end. If this type of content makes sense to you, if you want to understand the world based on science and real history, not the sanitized version, but the true version, then press the subscribe button and activate the bell. Because there's so much more coming and I don't want you to miss it. Now, the shark. Everyone talks about the great white shark as the greatest terror in the oceans, and that's okay, he deserves respect. But what few know is that Carcharocles megalodon, which lived until approximately 3.6 million years ago, therefore contemporary with some of our oldest ancestors, reached 18 meters in length, with teeth measuring 20 centimeters. Megalodon wasn't just in the deep sea. It inhabited coastal waters, and the first hominids that lived on African coasts, that fished in shallow waters, that crossed estuaries, they existed in a world where this animal still lived. The temporal overlap is small, and there is debate about whether the contact was even significant. But the ocean has never been a safe place. Never. And that brings me to a point that I think is absolutely central to this whole discussion. The fear of the dark. Are you afraid of the dark? Be honest. Not panic fear, but that subtle discomfort when the light goes out and you can't see what's around you. This is universal. It crosses cultures, continents, eras, and there is a very specific reason for this. Big cats hunt at night. Leopards, especially, are experts at hunting in very low light, and for millions of years, darkness was literally the time when death came. Those who slept without protection, those who went out at night without caution, those who did not have that alert nervousness, they were eliminated from the evolutionary line. Those who were afraid remained. There remained those who remained awake, restless with their senses on edge, waiting for the wrong sound. You inherited this fear. He is in you not out of weakness, but out of ancestral survival. Every time you check that the door is locked before going to sleep, every time you quicken your pace on a dark street, every time that feeling of being watched makes you turn back, that's your legacy of 2 million years of life as prey. Honor that, because this instinct is in your blood for the simplest reason there is. It worked, and this is where I want to speak to you from the heart. Creating this channel, immersing yourself in this research, spending nights reading scientific studies and trying to turn this into something that really captures your attention. This has a cost. And what keeps us doing this, besides our passion for the topic, is knowing that there are people on the other side who value this work. If you want to support us directly, you can become a member of the channel here on YouTube, which already gives you access to exclusive content. Or if you prefer, you can make a contribution of any amount to Valo Deme. Anything, literally anything, from as little as $1, is a sign that this work is worth your time. The link is in the description. It's not an obligation. It's an exchange between people passionate about the same type of thing. And each contribution goes straight to the next research, to the next video, coming back. Because there's still something I need to tell you, and that is perhaps the most impactful fact of all this. In 2006, researchers analyzed a set of fossils from the Swartkrans site in South Africa, one of the richest places in hominin fossils in the world. And what they found was disturbing in its clarity. Bones of Australopithecus robustus and Homo erectus with unmistakable carnivore tooth marks, leopard markings specifically, and they weren't random marks. They were marks in specific locations, neck, skull, large joints, that show a pattern of intentional and systematic predation. These animals were killed and consumed repeatedly. The leopard specifically appears to have been the single largest predator of hominids in sub-Saharan Africa for an enormous period of time. A single leopard can kill an adult human with ease, drag the body to a tree, and calmly consume it. And in open environments, where there were no trees to climb for safety, our ancestors were deeply vulnerable. Which brings me to one of the most fascinating evolutionary consequences of this whole story: our vision. Humans have extraordinary color vision for a mid-sized primate, and one of the most accepted theories is that part of this ability to distinguish subtle colors evolved precisely to detect predators in a complex landscape. A leopard's spotted coat is perfect against shadows and foliage, but our eyes evolved to break it down, to see the pattern where he tries to hide. It's an evolutionary arms race. The predator evolved to be invisible. Prey evolved to see what shouldn't be seen. We have also developed the ability to track movements with our eyes in a way that very few species have. We are able to identify in a fraction of a second whether a moving object is a living or inanimate being, and whether that living being is moving towards us. This ability is not useful for hunting. It's useful for escaping. It's the ability to recognize the difference between that tree swayed because it was windy and that tree swayed because something is moving behind it. And here is the final twist, the one that keeps me up at night. Because of all this story I told you, the felines, the giant hyenas, the crocodiles, the eagles, the sharks, we arrived here. You arrived here. Every human being alive today is a direct descendant of an unbroken line of victims who survived, not heroes, of survivors, people who had the right instincts, the right decisions, the right luck, at the right time, enough times to reach the age to reproduce, in an environment where every night could be the last. And then, on a geological timescale that is practically instantaneous, it turned everything upside down. We developed better tools, we developed controlled fire, we developed complex language, cooperation on a massive scale, agriculture, animal domestication, firearms, poison, traps, and in the end an understanding of genetics and biology so deep that we have already begun to reshape other living beings. In 10,000 years, a blink of an eye in the history of life on Earth, we went from prey to the most devastating predator this planet has ever seen. We don't just get rid of our predators, we eliminate them. We hunted Smilodon to extinction. We destroyed cave lion habitat. We drove Haast's eagle to extinction within a few centuries of finding it. But here's what no history book will tell you about this brutality. The fear is still in you. The predators are gone, but the response to them remains. You wake up with your heart racing from a dream where something chases you. You feel goosebumps on the back of your neck in dark, quiet places. You instinctively turn your head when something moves quickly in your peripheral field of vision. You are not being irrational, you are being human. You are being exactly what 2 million years of evolutionary pressure made you to be, a survivor, with the memory of being prey engraved in every cell of your body. We are, above all, the result of terror. We are what was left after the monsters tried to erase us, and that is perhaps the most impressive thing about human existence. Not that we dominated the planet, but that we were so close to not getting there.